Good evening, and thank you for joining the regular Matsu Planning Commission meeting on November the 15th.
Barely hear you.
What?
Your mic, it doesn't sound like we can hear you.
Oh, can you all hear me? My mic is on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going through the mic.
It should.
Is it better if I talk?
There you go.
Shoot. Okay. So, we have a couple of housekeeping items for those people who are calling in. If you'd like to testify for any of the items when your time comes up, please push *3. You'll see that we'll see that your hand is raised, and we'll call on you, identifying you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. You can also listen to us on Radio Free and website, and Facebook Live, www.facebook.com. I guess that's a / Matsu-Borough. So for starters, can we have, Madam Clerk, can you take the attendance to determine a quorum?
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Allen,
Here.
Commissioner Chesbro,
Here.
Commissioner Vague,
Here.
Commissioner Alder is absent, Commissioner Glaschen,
Present.
Commissioner Massanen is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. So for starters, we need to approve the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda by any members of the commission? See all no's here. Commissioner Elder? Oh, he's not here. Which one's one that's here? Commissioner Stafford?
No, Madam Chair.
Oh, I can't hear him. Is that? I don't hear him ranting and raving about, okay. All right. So with unanimous consent, the agenda is approved as read. Where is, no, who would have called? Peggy, would you like to lead us in the pledge tonight? Next on the agenda is consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight, we have the meetings, the minutes from the regular meeting on October the 18th. Is there any items on the consent agenda that any members, is that? No, we have, oh, we do have an introduction. Okay. And then item C is introduction for public hearing legislative matters, resolution PC 21-30, Jonesville Public Use Area Management Plan, a resolution supporting assembly adoption under MSB 15.24.030 parenthesis B. Public hearing December 6th. Staff will be Joe Metzger under the Lands Management Specialist. Are there any items any members of the Planning Commission would like to pull from the consent agenda for additional discussion? Seeing no's here, Commissioner Glaschen?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So is there any objection to the, to approving the consent agenda as presented? No objection here. Commissioner Glaschen? Any objection?
No, Madam Chair.
Consent agenda is
objection.
approved as presented. There's no other audience participation because there aren't any committee reports, agency, land use classifications, nothing. Mr. Ortiz?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. So audience participation, this is 3 minutes per person for anybody in the audience to address the Planning Commission on any agenda items that are not up for public hearing tonight. You will get an opportunity for your specific item that's up for public hearing. And tonight we have 2 items, Resolution PC 21-28 for marijuana use, and we have Resolution PC 21-29 under unfinished business. So those 2 items you'll have an opportunity to speak to when your time comes up for public hearing. Are there any other audience participants who would like to address the Planning Commission for any items other than those? And we do have Brian Largent. Thanks. Turn on the microphone. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Good evening. Thank you. My name is Brian Largent, Largent. Was there something else I was supposed to do? Okay, good. Well, I'd like to speak to you today about the Jonesville Public Use Area Management Plan. I'd like to thank Joe Metzger for all his help, and he's been working on it for over a year now with us, our group. I'm a member of the Sutton Community Council. I'm also the chairman of the committee that wrote that document. And so we've worked about 3 years on that document. I know some of you have seen it before. It is a much better document now, and I think we've just really been able to distill the main points of the document. And I wanted to just encourage you to look at it carefully if you can. I appreciate all you do. I know you have a stack of documents probably about this tall you're working through. But I just want to say our committee has a wide variety of interests, different user groups, different backgrounds. I'm sure you know some of the people that's been working on that committee. We've worked with local and state and even national. We've worked with the National Park Service. We had a year of their service working on this. And so it is really just for us. It is a way to take Jonesville from what it is today. I could talk a long time about what it is today, and I hope you're familiar with that. But we want to take that to what it is today and make it a place where all people within reason can go there. About half of the population of Alaska has accessibility to Jonesville, easy accessibility. And so we want to make it safer. We want to make it better for all users. And I think if we do that, we'll get users there, and we'll be able to get, I think it will help economically. And I just want to say for the borough, I really appreciate Eric Phillips and all his vision for the area. And I think he's a big part of this effort. He's set aside some funds. Those funds would be used to leverage grants. Particularly, we're hoping, first of all, because I think it's the biggest safety issue, is to establish a shooting area with regular hours and a really safe place to keep that separated from the random shooting up there that happens now. And a lot of other provisions, but mostly to separate the users. You know, that's where things are happening, user interfaces, non-motorized trails, motorized trails, and of course, people up there like to use whatever trail they can find for any reason they want to. And so if we can kind of contain that a little bit and make that easier for people to stay on their own path. But I hope we can get this thing through, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Wow, it's coming in now. Anyone else in the audience who would like to address the Planning Commission on any items other than those coming up for public hearing tonight? Is there anyone on the phone that has their hand raised? Remember, if you're on the phone and you'd like to speak, press *3.
There's nobody on the phone,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
All right. Then with that, the public audience participation is closed. Moving to the public hearing for quasi judicial matters. And that is for Resolution PC 21-28, a conditional use permitted in accordance with MSB 17.60 conditional uses, allowing for the operation of a marijuana retail facility located at 3591 South Vine Road. Tax ID is number 5060B01L001A within Township 17 North, Range 2 West, Section 23, Seward Meridian. The applicant is Jana Wilson on behalf of Alaskan Originals, and the staff will be Mr. Weisenhunt. Let me do the ex parte. If you're the applicants, go ahead and, yeah, but not yet. Just go ahead and sit up at the front or nearby. Be prepared, I guess, is what what Mr. Weisenhunt is telling you. Be prepared. So to the members of the commission, do you or any member of your immediate family have a substantial financial interest in any property affected by this decision, or will you recognize a foreseeable profit as a result of this decision? All no's on the panel. Commissioner Glaschen?
No, Madam Chair.
Second, have you received or otherwise engaged in ex parte contact with the applicant, appellant, other interested parties, or any members of the public concerning the application, either before, during, or after this matter was submitted for decision? And those here on the panel, Commissioner Glassman?
No, Madam Chair.
And finally, are you able to be impartial in your decision? All yeses for the panel, Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
All right, so that Mr. Weisenhunt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I begin, I would just like to note for the record that earlier Commissioner Chris Elder had sent in an email recusing himself from this matter as he's the landlord. So again, thank you, Mark Weisenhunt, planner for the Mat-Su Borough, assigned to process this request related to Planning Commission Resolution 21-28. This request is for a marijuana retail facility that is approximately 504 square feet in size. We sent out our public notice on September 22nd or 27th, 2021. They were mailed to all property owners within 600 feet of the proposed use. The full details of that public notice process is outlined on page 132 of your packet. While reviewing this request, we did find that the proposed use doesn't meet all standards of Mat-Su Borough Code, and we do recommend approval for this conditional use permit, which is on page 140 of your packet. And with that, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Weisenhunt at this time? No one here, Commissioner Glassman, you have any questions for Mr. Weisenhunt?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So the applicants, you have actually 15 minutes to make a statement or less, if you up to 15 minutes. And then at the end of that, we'll ask you for any clarifying questions as well if we have any. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record, you and anyone who speaks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jan Weltzine, attorney for Alaskan Originals Llc. My last name is spelled W-E-L-T-Z-I-N. I feel like I'm really loud. Is it really loud or? No, it does. Okay. Okay. To my left is the owner of Alaskan Originals, Josh Hunter. Josh Hunter is already an owner of a business in your borough. He owns Frontier Farmers, which is a limited cultivation in the borough. He also has a transfer application in to purchase and assume Will's World's concentrates. So he's got 2 legs to the production, and now what he's looking for is a retail to complete his business model. So that's why we're in front of you today. So this will be Mr. Hunter's first retail, but obviously not his first business. The limited cultivation currently employs around 5 people, give or take, and the concentrates about 5 people as well, based on production and output. Sometimes those numbers kind of go between 4 and 6. The retail, we're looking to have 2 to 3 people on site at a time. So probably looking for a staff of 5 new employees for the retail if it's approved by this body. Josh has been an excellent licensee. He has 0 notices of violations. So that means no regulatory violations or issues. He has been, as he puts it, a poster child for the marijuana industry, and I agree. So this is going to be a pretty simple operation. They're going to remodel the old Hollywood Mart. So as Mark has pointed out, and by the way, Mark always does an amazing job. I know I always gush about your staff, but I'm always in other jurisdictions and your staff is just the best. And so it's always hard to follow them because they do such a good job and complete job. But as Mark stated, the Hollywood Mart has been a little convenience store there since the 1980s. And so basically we're just changing the model, making it a marijuana store instead. Obviously, no persons under the age of 21, all of the regular security measures in place, cameras everywhere. Exterior lighting that's going to point downward, all of the normal functions that you need to make a compliant marijuana retail store. With that, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer it, but I don't want to belabor the point and keep it short unless you have any specific questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Wiltine at this time? Commissioner Chesbro.
Through the chair, I just have a question. One of the comments that we received was from a neighbor who said that the bus stop is in front of the store. Is that? Can you tell me about that? Do you know about that?
The the comment that I saw in the packet, and is the only comment that I saw in the packet, is it was located within a neighborhood less than a half a mile from our children's. Oh, and they said it's right in front of this facility. I don't know if that is true or not. Have you ever seen a bus stop there?
No, we've been out there quite a bit.
And I don't see any markings that,
Actually, that's fine for you to speak. We encourage you to do so, but please step to the microphone and state your name so
Yeah.
that we'll have you on the record.
Josh Hunter,
Spelling your last name.
Hunter.
Okay. And Mr. Hunter, you currently run the Hollywood Mart?
no, he doesn't, no, he's going to be the owner of Alaskan Originals, which will be the marijuana store.
Okay, so you're not the person that's currently in that facility?
No, we are. We've been in there sadly for about a year and a half now, getting
Okay.
through this process.
So
They
what do you
leased
know-
it a year ago.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess that's the question then, is what do you know about the status of a location for a bus stop there or anywhere near there?
No, we've been pretty open. I believe in an open book policy when it comes to these things. Very aware that we're giving permission to do these things with your guys' thought. So I haven't seen anything out there, but we're always willing to do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is he hasn't seen any indication that there was a bus stop. I don't know if there's a map we can check to verify, but we haven't seen a school bus stop out there.
Well, thank you, because I think that would be a concern. I know you have lots of driveways,
course.
and
Yes, ma'am.
if it hasn't been used in a while, that might have been safer before the driveways.
Right.
Thank
Right,
you.
That makes sense.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes, if the bus stop is still where it was, it's at the corner of Hollywood between Shamrock and Village. My kids used to live there. They went to school at Goose Bay. And that was our bus stop for 17 years. Junior high, high school, and elementary school was right there. And it's less than, I'm going to say, a block. All the kids that live in that neighborhood down Shamrock, all the kids that live down Village, the people that live down Hollywood past Shamrock, their kids will go to that stop to pick up the bus.
So to clarify, it's not in front of the facility, but you're saying it's about a block down? That's where it was, okay. Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar where that location is near Shamrock? Are you familiar with the Shamrock?
I'm thinking, may I approach
Oh,
to show her?
you can talk to Mr. Weiss and he can.
So yeah, I think I understand where she's saying, but
Okay, do you have a map picture?
it is page 177.
179?
177. One of the considerations with the name that Josh picked was in recognition that there is a school 1,400 feet away. And we wanted to be mindful of the shop not screaming marijuana and be painted green and have, a big pot leaf on it. So that's why they picked the name Alaskan Originals, so that it was pretty discreet and not showing that it's marijuana to kids passing by. I don't know if that fully addresses your concern. I'm sure it doesn't fully address your concern, but we did work with Josh on that name for that particular reason.
If I may.
Yes.
That being said, if there is a spot out there, the area will be extremely well lit. It's probably going to bring more light and stuff like that to the area. So, because we're familiar with the area as well. I grew up around there. It's a little rough, but it's home, so if we can illuminate the area a little bit more in the mornings to keep the honest people honest, that's what we're all about.
Thank you.
Mr. Glashian, do you have any questions for Ms. Welting or Mr. Hunter?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Then we're going to open the public hearing, and at the conclusion of the public hearing, stay close by. We'll ask you if you have anything you want to clarify. So at this time, we have no one signed up for the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the Planning Commission regarding PC 21-28 for the marijuana retail facility? Is there anyone on the phone? I hear someone.
We do have one person on the phone.
So please state your name and spell your last name for the record. What the last 4 digits of the?
Oh, hello. My name is Hunki Lee. It spells as Hunkie, space Lee. I guess I have 3 minutes to talk about, make some commentary about the marijuana cultivation. I'm assuming that place is like at the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Vine Avenue. Is that correct? Vine and Hollywood, Shamrock area? Well, I'll assume that's okay. So
Please finish your statement, Mr. Lee.
yeah, okay. So I live in that neighborhood. Okay, I live in the Trinity Avenue, Trinity and Shamrock, so it's very close from where I live. I have to voice some concern about marijuana in general. I mean, I smoke cigarettes, I drink alcohol at home. So as a social policy, I wonder it would be beneficial to our society, our neighborhood to legalize, introduce another substance that kind of causes intoxication. Okay, so as a citizen of that neighborhood, well, maybe I'm biased. I'm kind of old school, so whenever something new happens, some new industry, I kind of am concerned about the desirability of this new industry. Yeah, I am biased. I acknowledge that. Okay, but at the same time, I do understand local business owners like yourselves, Mr. and Ms. You want to make money, create jobs. I admire local business owners like yourselves. But my recommendation would be cultivation, farming of Alaskan berries or Alaskan animals, okay? Something very healthy, like food, basically. Fruits, vegetables, meat. That would be my recommendation to you if you want to start a farming business. As opposed, well, we already have tobacco and alcohol as intoxicating, more relaxing, recreational kind of substance. So that would be my recommendation. And also as a resident of that neighborhood, I had no choice but voicing my objection. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. But hey, this is what's great about democracy, right? We freely speak our mind. We are respectful. We are civilized. And we are very tolerant to each other. So God bless you. That's what I have to say. It's my 3 minutes of. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to address the Planning Commission regarding PC 21-28 for marijuana retail facility? Is there anyone else on the phone?
Nobody else on the phone, Madam Chair.
Okay. So at this time, do you have any responses to anything he said? Okay. Mr. Weisenhunt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to make a couple of quick points. On page, let's see, 155 of your packet, you'll find the site plan. And on that, you'll see 3 access points. And I would just like to note that those access points do have permits on them. So they are legal driveways. They've been verified to be safe. So access to this particular use is safe. A second item I'd like to touch on is I know school buses can sometimes change year to year depending on who's getting picked up and how many kids. But the more important note would be that the Mat-Su Borough does not have a standard of separation from school bus stops and proposed uses related to marijuana. Thank you.
Thank you. I was actually going to clarify that isn't in one of our setback requirements. Anyone on the panel here have any questions for either the applicant or Mr. Weisenhunt before we close? Commissioner Glassian, any last questions?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, then with that, we'll close the public comment. So before us is resolution PC-21, a conditional use permit in accordance with MSB 17.60. Conditional uses allowing for the operation of a marijuana retail facility located at 3591 South Vine Road, tax ID 5060B01L001A within Township 17 North, Range 2, West, Section 23, Seward Meridian. Is there a motion? Commissioner Chesbro.
I move PC 21-28.
Commissioner Chesbro has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And Commissioner Allen has made the second. Commissioner Chesbro?
Seems to be a well-organized application, and who could turn down a poster child? I don't know.
Commissioner Allen, you have second chance, second bite?
I see no reason to deny the application.
Are there any comments or questions? Commissioner Glassman?
No, Madam Chair.
Thanks. I'll just make a quick comment that this would not be the first time that we have placed a retail facility very close to a bus stop. My son's bus stop is literally 30 yards from a retail cultivation. So I don't think we want to set precedents with that here, especially since we don't have it in our plan. So it's been moved by Commissioner Chesbro, seconded by Commissioner Allen to approve Resolution 21-28. Are there any objections? Commissioner Glassman, any objection from you?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
you object?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were for the vote. My apologies.
I guess we're supposed to do it in the affirmative.
Yeah.
So how do you vote on the resolution? Do you vote to confirm it? I
Yes.
guess? Commissioner Chesbro,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
and the chair approves. So the PC21 has been approved unanimously. Did I ask me? I forgot about you, Mr. Glassman?
Well, I didn't have any objections, so it's a yes.
I thought I got you already. So, oh yeah, he did. I did ask him.
Yeah, I voted twice.
I had to, you have to say yes. Okay, so this has been approved unanimously. You're welcome. So then next on the agenda is to continue, and I think that we've actually already closed public hearing on that, so there won't be continued public hearing. So is there anyone, but I did state specifically at the beginning that if anybody had anything to say about this, they couldn't say it until it came up. So is there anybody who just wants to share anything that they were going to share that they didn't get an opportunity to? I don't see anybody coming forward. So it is for the, oh gosh, where am I? Unfinished business section, because we don't have any, yeah. The resolution PC 21-29, this is unfinished business. We denied this at our last meeting, but because of the lateness that was coming upon the hour, we just elected to come up with findings of facts when we had more time and more structure. So this is a resolution of the Matanuska-Susitna Borough Planning Commission for adopting findings of fact and conclusions of law to support denial of resolution PC 21-23. And what we came up with is, and I think this is just mostly for our discussion and debate, right, at the panel? Yeah. Okay. And it's page what, 170 something? No, I had it here earlier, 205. So what is in our packet is the resolution, and then the highlighted sections were to be deleted. And in fact, as you go down to the second section of this, it looks like they've been combined. The two suggestions that were presented have been combined. Is that what I see in the bottom of this? Okay. So where does it start here? So it looks like it is on page, it says 212. Is that the beginning of where they've been combined, the highlighting and the crossing out and the very colorful markings? There's orange and blue and yellow and black. And is that to be the new resolution if it's voted on tonight? We'll start on page 212.
So the first few pages, 205, that it starts out on
Mhm.
is the combined. And then on the notes, Commissioner Anderson wanted to delete what was in yellow.
Most of the whereases were deleted, the suggestion, all that highlighted. And so then, and it looks like then, were they combined on page 212? It's on 209? There's still, they all say findings of fact. So whereas according to application material, more than 70% of property owners will remain undeveloped. Is that where we want to start it? I guess that was my confusion with this, is I wasn't sure, because it looks like this is, the two of them that were presented with the comments that were made. And so there's a note on here that all the yellow is to be, this was your one, all highlighted comments by Commissioner Anderson are deleted. And that's from the very first page. This is page 207. Starting with the third whereas on page 207 and deleting everything to the third whereas on page 212.
Whereas the Planning Commission has reviewed this application is the last, would be the
Yes.
second whereas.
Right.
Yep.
So all the whereases in between that are highlighted would be gone. So we would start with, I knew I should have printed this up. So it would start with basically, whereas an application has been submitted for, on the first page, on page 207, whereas an application has been submitted for variance to MSB 17.55.2020 requesting to construct a dwelling approximately 31.8 feet from the shoreline of Finger Lake, so. And then whereas in order to grant a variance, the Planning Commission must find that each requirement of 17.65.020 parentheses A has been met. And the next whereas would be whereas on page 112 or 212, whereas the Planning Commission has reviewed this application with respect to standards. And then the next whereas is still then, and then the now therefore be it resolved. And those numbers will change because there have been some that have been inserted and some that have been deleted. Are you confused? Because I think everybody's a little confused.
I am not, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I think I'm following fairly well. I was wondering if you were going to get through discussion if there was any objections to those first deleted portions, but since you got into a couple of items on page 212, which is the conclusions of law, I was going to make a clerical suggestion to the board in that it seems like those were really fine. Three of those are really findings of fact and not conclusions of law.
Okay. Yeah, and I think what I would kind of, and yes, I want to get to what you're talking about, so stay put. I feel so powerful tonight. This is kind of, I kind of want to make sure that we're all on the same page with where we all are. So if I'm going along, and just feel free to jump in there and go, whoa, hold that pony for a bit. So now we're to the conclusions of law, and that's, so everybody understands that all of those whereases are going to be gone. And now we're in conclusions of law, and then now therefore. So Mr. Weisenhat, what did you have to say?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you'll turn your attention to page 212 and 213, you'll see under those conclusions of law, items 2, 3, and 4, those statements appear to lend to be more findings of fact than conclusions of law. And I just wanted to give a clerical suggestion. I don't want to change the meaning of the meaning of what your proposed document is, but I would just suggest that those go under the findings of fact. But it's ultimately up to the commission to put them where they'd like them.
Okay. So those include, so the first one is fine, and I am completely encumbered with 75-foot setback requirements, leaving no buildable area is, and then was inserted not an unusual condition under our code. And then these next three are the ones Mr. Weisenhat is suggesting we moved to conclusions of, findings of fact. That is approval of the water wastewater disposal system would require multiple waivers from ADEC. The property was advertised for sale as a camping spot with a note to contact the MSB for possible variance for building. And the applicant knew or reasonably should have known that a variance was required prior to beginning construction. Those should all be moved to whereases instead of therefore be it, and whatever. Now therefore be it concluded.
Yes, it should be moved above as whereases.
So after the whereas, the last whereas, the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on October 18th. We should then include our current, now therefore be it resolved that 2, 3, and 4 should be moved under there to 3 more whereases. Okay. Because we don't even have anything on the floor yet. I'm just reviewing it kind of. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Weissenhunt. So then item 5, which is the old one, but was inserted, the provisions of this title would not deprive the applicant of the right commonly enjoyed by others. The property is suitable for, this is all inserted now, this section I'm reading. Property is suitable for recreation without permanent structures. Permanent occupation of the property using the temporary shelter such as a tent is a reasonable use of the property. And that would then be conclusion number 2. Well, because we've taken out 2, 3, and 4. And so, oh no, that would be so now I'm going to have to reorder these. So I have 1 is the one that's there. We're taking out, we possibly could take out 2, 3, and 4. And so resolution 5, the one I just read, would now be number 2. And then the next one would be resolution 3, granting the variance will and delete not. So it will read, the variance will be injurious to nearby property, water bodies, not, okay, harmful to the public welfare. So granting the variance will be injurious to nearby property, water bodies, and harmful to the public welfare. And then the next conclusion would be 4, property variances insert not consistent with the applicable comprehensive plan and does not meet the intent of the borough code. And then the last one, the final now therefore be it further resolved that the Matanuska-Susitna Borough Planning Commission hereby denies the setback, blah, blah, blah. Is everybody now able to follow what the final document will possibly look like? Okay. Mr. Glashan, are you following along? You're a smart guy. I'm assuming you.
I am following along. Thank you for that compliment.
You're very welcome. It's very
not what I
sincere.
usually hear.
It is very sincere. So what we have before us then is a resolution for the Planning Commission 21-29, resolution of the Matanuska-Susitna Borough Planning Commission adopting findings of fact and conclusions of law to support denial of resolution PC 21-23. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion.
Commissioner Anderson? Thank you. So Commissioner Anderson has made a motion to approve 21-29. Is there a second?
A second?
Second.
And your twin beat you to it. Commissioner Chesbro
You can have
seconded
it.
that. Okay, Commissioner Anderson?
I think I basically put it in there. The only question that I would have on it would be, because we've already reiterated in the one that was denied, that information would fall forth, would bundle together with this, right? Yes, okay.
Commissioner Chesbro?
No comment.
Anyone else have any comments regarding this?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Glashan?
I move to make an amendment to,
Okay, thank you. Go
as it's
ahead.
written, to move conclusions of law number 2, 3,
And 4.
and 4 to finding of facts with the appropriate whereases and punctuation.
So it's been moved by Commissioner Glashan to move the now therefore be it resolved inserts of Number 2, which is approval of the waterway system, would require multiple waivers. Number 3, the property was advertised for sale as a camping spot, et cetera. And number 4, the applicant knew or reasonably should have known the variance was required. Moving those 3 conclusions of law to the areas of finding of fact, to follow the last finding of fact, whereas, which would place it right behind the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on October the 18th. Is there a second to that amendment?
I'll second it.
So Commissioner Glassman made the motion, made the amendment. Commissioner Anderson seconds that. Commissioner Glassman, any comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Anderson?
No.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Glassman and Commissioner Anderson's to move the items for findings of facts 2, 3, and 4 to from conclusions of law to findings of facts. Is there any objection to that? Well, Commissioner Glassman, any objection?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Allen, any objection?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Chesbro, and I guess I'm doing this wrong again, but
No.
Commissioner Anderson
No.
and Chair Vague has no objection. So the amendment passes without objection. So now we're back to, yes, Commissioner Glassman.
I have one more amendment.
Oh, okay.
I believe we should, and this is going to be kind of ugly doing it over the phone, include the finding of facts that were added that Commissioner Anderson deleted. So going to page 209 of the packet, there's 3 whereases, 4 whereases in a row. The first one is whereas the ADC includes gray water as definition of domestic wastewater. I believe those should be read as finding of facts.
So the, which one, the second, third, and fourth whereas on that page?
Yes, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
So all the ones that have the red writing?
Right.
You want reinserted?
Right, because those were modified from the original.
Okay. All right. So there's another amendment on the
And we-
table. Go ahead.
There's potentially a couple more.
Well, let's take this one
page-
first.
Okay.
So it's been moved by Commissioner, or there's amendment on the floor by Mr. Glassman on page 209 that whereas the second, the A deck included gray water, the A deck requires 100-foot separation, A deck requires a 50-foot horizontal setback, and the Mat-Su Borough does not have a setback requirement for the gray water system. Are those the ones that you want reinserted? Those 4?
Right, and
Okay.
as modified.
As modified, okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Commissioner Glassman, any comments?
I just feel like we should include the finding of facts that weren't with the original.
Okay.
And
Commissioner
I believe
Anderson?
those are important.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson?
No comment.
All right, so I'm going to put this in the affirmative like I'm supposed to be. So the amendment is to reinsert the whereases that I read on page 209 that are in red and underlined, including the 4th one, whereas Matanuska-Susitna Borough that was struck, reinserting those into this document. Chair votes yes. Commissioner Allen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Chesbro?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
All right, so with no objection, the amendments to reinsert those whereases in the findings of fact have been approved. You had something else, Mr. Glassman?
Yes, Madam Chair, I propose another amendment to the resolution beginning on page 211. The second to the last whereas residential structures. retaining that whereas, the following whereas, and the first two whereases on page 212.
As including the strikeouts? So that you want them to, so you want to reinsert, whereas recreational camping is allowed within the core planning area, whereas no information pertaining to pecuniary hardship was discovered by staff in their analysis of the proposed dwelling, and whereas construction of the proposed structure is proposed to avoid the inconvenience of temporary shelter while recreating on the property. You want those three whereases included, reinserted?
And
And then
the following, whereas the property was advertised as a camping spot, which
Okay.
may be redundant.
I think it is redundant because we just included that from the ones below. Yeah. So we won't re-include that one again. So we'll just be the top three. Does that make sense, Mr.
Correct.
Blash? Okay. So we went to, the amendment is to reinsert, whereas residential camping is allowed within the core, whereas no information pertaining to pecuniary hardship, and whereas the construction of the proposed structure is proposed to avoid inconvenience. Those are the three that this amendment wants to reinsert.
Correct.
Okay. So that's been amended by Commissioner Glosson. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Anderson seconds that. Commissioner Glosson, comments?
No comment.
Commissioner Anderson?
No comment.
So it's been moved by Commissioner Glosson, seconded by Commissioner Anderson to reinsert the last two whereases on page 212 and the first one on page 213. Commissioner Chesbro, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Commissioner Glosson?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
So that amendment include reinserting those three whereases has been approved unanimously. Are there any other amendments, Commissioner Glosson?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. So now we're back to the main motion as it has now been amended. Commissioner Anderson made the motion. Commissioner Anderson, do you have any further comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Chesbro is the second.
No comment.
Are there any further comments, questions, amendments, anything? Commissioner Allen, nothing? And Commissioner Glosson, anything else from you?
No, Madam Chair.
So we're up for the vote of approval of the denial for approval, resolution for the Matanuska-Susitna Borough Planning Commission adopting findings of fact and conclusions of law to support denial of resolution PC 21-23. We're voting on this as it has been amended. So Commissioner Anderson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Commissioner Glosson?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Chesbro?
Yes.
So, resolution PC 21 I guess it's 29 has been approved unanimously. All righty, we got through that fairly unscathed. Any new business or upcoming commission agenda items, Commissioner Ortiz, you'd like us to be aware of?
Mr. Ortiz, not Commissioner Ortiz.
Mr. Ortiz, didn't I say Mr. Ortiz?
You said Commissioner.
Okay, old habits.
Just that anything that's quasi judicial, make sure you guys be careful not to do any fact-finding missions. What else do we have here? We have 2 commissioners last meeting on December 6th coming up. And we do have a request. There's not going to be anything on the December 20th meeting. So the Planning Commission may want to consider canceling that if you guys want to take that issue up right now. That's it.
So at this time, there is nothing on the agenda, not even an introduction item on the agenda for December 20th. So we need to decide if we want to have a meeting that night. Is there a motion to cancel that meeting? Commissioner Chesbro?
I move to cancel the meeting of December 20th as there will be no business.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Anderson seconds that. So Commissioner Chesbro, any comments?
It doesn't make sense to have a meeting if we don't have any stuff to do.
Commissioner Allen?
Happy holidays.
Yes, indeed. So it's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Chesbro and Commissioner Allen to cancel the December 20th meeting for lack of an agenda. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Glassman, do you have any discussion?
You know, with the holidays, I really could have used that check.
It's a big one, I know. I might actually right now fill a half a tank of gas. So there's a motion on the floor. Start with Commissioner, I will vote yes to that. Commissioner Glassman, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Chesbro?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
So canceling the December 20th meeting, unanimous. I'm surprised at that. So any comments? Mr. Weisenhunt, any closing comments from you?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Boulay? Mr. Ortiz?
No, Madam Chair.
Madam Clerk?
The only thing is this will be Mary's last meeting then, because she won't be here on the 6th.
Oh, you're kidding.
So thank you.
You suck. Okay, so Commissioner Glassman, any final comments?
I'm just really surprised I'm going to be off the commission so soon. It seems like I had more time.
You have a year.
Ah,
You're going to be chair.
nope.
Commissioner Allen, any closing comments?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Chesbro?
No comments.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Well, since it's my last meeting, I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor to serve on this commission. It has been an interesting learning curve as you go to our new commissioner, Mr. Allen. Just keep on doing what you're doing. You know, we have a great staff, great support that helps us keep things on the lined out and good reports to follow. And it's a great commission to serve on. I've learned a lot, and I wish all our fellow commissioners best of luck as we move forward in the new administration.
That is awful. We started together and it feels like we should end it together, but I guess you're skipping town. That's okay. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson, for your service. When I get lazy and kind of scan through and see if there's any high points that I can find, I always feel confident in doing that because I know that Mary has read every word of every page of every document that is submitted for these meetings, fully prepared. And I always know that if I have questions about anything, I can count on you. So you will be missed and happy wherever it is you're going to be. I would also, a couple other things, just I know that there were points of frustration, but I just want everybody to remember Mr. Haberman, that he contributed and he did what he thought was right and he tried to make the system better. And we didn't always agree with him on these matters, but his contribution was sincere. And I really do wish him and his family well in what's happened. And then my last thing is I really think that I know that we did it when Mary and I came on, that's been 6 years ago, and I would really like to encourage the borough through whatever powers it be here to have another meeting on Robert's rules. They're complicated and confusing, and I came to this having already been a chairperson of another board, so I had some idea, but I went to it when they did have it, and I still learned a lot, and I just know that it helps make the meetings go smoothly, and they're more understandable, even with all Mr. Glassman's stuff that he wants to do in there and throw out there at me. And, I had to get, so I just encourage that we do that again. And I don't think that it's a bad time. A lot of new members on the Borough Assembly as well. So with that, I don't even know what time it is because I closed my computer. So we're closed at whatever time it is. Okay.